The king is in the house. Court is in session.
This is the Secret Alliance.
Can't be letting people outside of the Secret Alliance know about the Secret Alliance. It's a secret. Come on, yo.
Hello.
KAYSAR. It's Jason and Dani. What's happening?
Oh my God! Blast from the past, Jason guy.
I know. Whoa! What a blast from the past, KAYSAR.
Oh,
season
KAYSAR.
6. Season 6 wrap party. I met you. We chatted. It was so fun to watch you in All-Star, the first go round, and then All-Stars here. We were so bummed. You and Janelle. It seemed going in and looking at it, there was going to be something really great, and it just didn't pan out for you guys the way that the other contestants decided to align. You've had a few days to reflect. What are you thinking now, KAYSAR?
Well, it was just as I suspected when I was in there. There was just no way in hell that we were going to make it out of that mess. I mean, it was just it was imagine like you're just up on a war front, and there's like 100,000 of them, and there's a handful of you. There's just it was not going to end well, and so so I realized that early on, and it's just it's unfortunate. If you take a look at some of the alliance maps that are floating around online, it's just like I was just by myself, and it was just very incestuous. It was like, how many alliances can these people possibly form with like a handful of people? It's just, honestly, that's why I told them they sucked.
In one word.
You guys suck. One thing I will say, it was, when you think of the sovereign sex and you think of you and Janelle, you guys always played where your back's against the walls. It's you and against the house. At least in the first All-Stars, you guys were able to recoup, but at least people were able to make a stand and vote the way they want to, or make a change. It's just so frustrating watching these players have this herd mentality where they can't seem to make a decision on their own. So it was frustrating to watch as a fan. And when you kept saying, I bet this season sucked, I'm like, yeah, it's kind of sucking. You're actually right, KAYSAR.
Yeah.
So it was very difficult to watch perspective on what was going on in the house, because it was just like, if someone could have just thrown a bone, or someone just make a stand, or, even the fact that they voted as one, they wouldn't even make a decision, even though they didn't want to vote a certain way. It's just, they were just a bunch of cowards not making a stand. And that's the way I took it as a fan. I took it as a player as well.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. It was cowardly. And I was thinking the whole time, like, grow a backbone. And I find it to be particularly ironic because they were willing to make alliances 7 times over with the same people. Here's a final 2, here's a final 7, here's a final 4, here's a final 5. And it was the same people over and over again. Yet not once when I came to them, I said, listen, our free agent, I'm extremely loyal. You're like, yeah, and trustworthy. Mm-hmm, you are, no doubt about that. But yet you won't make any deal with me, which is strange. And, I'm all about running till the end. David came to me and said, so I'm going to have to go after Janelle, right? And I said, okay, just so you know. And he wasn't coming after me. Just so you know, you go after, you touch Janelle, you're coming after me. And that was the kind of person I am, and I still am. And so, it's just unfortunate. Like, I was just hoping people would play it a little differently. It speaks a lot about their approach.
Yeah, but what is it? Are you still confused that caused them to do that, where they were just not willing at all? No one wanted to get into an alliance with you, with Janelle. What was it?
I think there's a myriad of factors. I think a lot of people play this game nowadays. From what I realize after kind of catching up, is it's for the gram, for the followers. They're not there for the gameplay. And so I think there was something that had already been identified and an approach that had already been set, that they're going to align with certain people, not us, because they needed, the sooner they can get us out of the house, I think maybe they felt like they can kind of draw more attention to themselves, is what I suspect. It doesn't really make a lot of sense otherwise. Other than that, they seemed terrified. No matter what we did, they seemed absolutely terrified. I didn't have an alliance. I hadn't won any comps. Yeah, I was the biggest target in the house at one point, and it was just there was no way about it other than we got to get this person out of the house. He can't be here. He can't be here. And even then, I thought maybe after Janelle was gone and the pair was split, I would stand a chance, but they just would not let up.
I mean, even the conversation you had with Bayleigh, it was so frustrating because you were trying to have open dialogue, like, hey, this is what I see, what's going on. This is how we can benefit. And it was just like, no one wanted to listen. And even though you were speaking truths, they just didn't want to listen, or they were so focused. I think I would say this: when you play the game of Big Brother, it's able to adapt, and they are not able to adapt to certain situations. And that's key. When they throw in twists and, secret rooms and all that stuff, you have to be able to adapt to what is presented to you. You can't say, this is what I'm going to do from point A and to get to point Z. There's hills and dips and crevices that you have to go through, and you probably need to make a change or make adjustments to your game. And they just was not willing to do so. And the fact of the matter is, now, if they would have kept you, the fact that they voted for a person to stay, basically they voted for their executioner to stay in the game. And here we are.
Mm-hmm. I completely agree. And it was incredibly frustrating for me because when I learned and I was getting the sense that they were kind of accusing me, and not just them, like anyone who I was trying to speak to was accusing me of just looking out for myself. And I said, you need to align yourself with people who actually will empower you, who you can trust, who actually have your welfare and well-being in this game. Put that first and foremost. And so I didn't. When they came back and said, you're just looking at you just because you have nobody, it really bothered me.
Right.
Because I couldn't be more genuine about the matter.
Right.
KAYSAR, since you've been out, have you heard what Dani said in the diary room, calling your eviction speech? But and they're not going to like it. It blew up their game, but she said tasteless. And she was just so, upset about that. Does that surprise you? And sort of what do you have to say about her making that claim?
If you can kind of see the tone of my speech, it was kind of, part of it came out of frustration because I was like, get with it, people. You need to play the game. I'm sorry. Like, it's the same way that, during some of my other interviews, I likened it to, there's NBA regular season and then there's the dunk competition. You got brought back because you're supposed to be a little bit of flair, a little bit of extra something, and then and play a good game. And everybody just came to like have Taco Tuesday and go to sleep and talk crap. And so, it was just really frustrating. And, if anything, I was probably the one who talked the least amount of crap and just kind of was really nice to them. So if, I don't know, her response is completely unwarranted. I'm not going to dignify her accusations. It's just dumb. And honestly, like even at the end of it, I forced them to give me a hug while I was laughing because I just think the whole thing is ridiculous.
Yeah, you're gonna. I knew you did that. I said, "KAYSAR's like, you're gonna hug me."
I
give me that hug.
I said you guys are gonna hug me while I leave. I don't care what you think.
It was icy. A few of those.
It was icy. It was so cold. It was so cold.
KAYSAR, let's talk about some conversations you had in the house outside of the game that you've talked about sort of as being, and you said it to Julie when you walked out of the house, as being important. It was coming back for that prize, or was it a greater cause?
Look, I don't want to be a jerk because I'm extremely grateful and blessed for everything that I have. And so I'll try to put it in the most sensitive way as possible. Coming back to the show was a bigger sacrifice than it was for me, than above anything. And what I mean by that is I know that sort of the extremely charged environment that we live in today. I wasn't around when social media is what it was, or it was what it is today, I should say. So I knew that there's a whole lot of bad that can come out of it. People get skewered online. People lose their jobs. I have a career. I make a good amount of money. I have a good reputation. And honestly, I'm an executive at a publicly traded company. And so there's a number of things that could go wrong had I done something. And what I did was I went on and I took on extremely and unfortunately I have to even use this word, controversial matters. It's sad because I think it's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
And so, I think is extremely it's sad. And so I said, you know what, to hell with it. I'm going to go on there and I'm going to say something. And if at the very least, look, it's not even my story. There's a long catalyst to actually be able, someone needs to talk about this. And so, yeah, I did come back and it wasn't about the money. And I knew from the onset that I wasn't going to make it very far. I knew it. It doesn't take, a genius. So I was like, at the very least, I'm going to do something with this. When I got the call, I said, it's for something. This is like, I have a lot of faith. I believe that things happen. And I said, there's a reason for this. So I'll tell you, I'll be completely frank. I mean, the burning issue for me is where we are in this world. And there's a number of things. It's surrounding the Black community. I have a deep disdain with the way that this is going. The way that we treat each other and we can't have a conversation where we have to tear each other down. I have a real big problem with this. The fact that we can't have conversations like civilized people. And so that's why, you won't see me. I'm not going to be a poster child for anything, but what I will be is I will try to encourage conversations. And so you won't see me only taking one position or another because that's what you want to hear. And we might not agree all the time, but what I want to happen is I want there to be justice. And sometimes justice is not in your favor and you got to be okay with that.
Right. I think that's something to, I know the fans are so passionate about the show, and I always try, Jason and I we always try to take a second back and say, listen, they're still human beings. They're allowed to make mistakes. Yeah. But let's have an open conversation. It's imperative that we are able to reason with one another and sit down and talk. I know sometimes even on my Twitter accounts, people attack me and I say, hey, let's talk about it first instead of let's not dismiss people automatically, because I think what we do with the cancel culture, we don't take a cleansing breath and let's talk about it. And I think that is amazing that you took the time to do that, KAYSAR. I think more people need to do that more often instead of just react in anger. Sometimes if people will just sit down and let's talk about it, you'd be surprised what can come out of that conversation. And just take a second to put yourself in that other person's shoes. And then if you have empathy, yes, and logic and reason, then we can, as a united nation, be better. I
completely agree with you. Yeah. I love that. And that's exactly the point.
That's good stuff. And we love it.
I'm that person that, those people that are hated, there's some people that, they're that character, once they show it to you, you're like, yeah, I know where you're coming from. I get that. But there's some people, I don't want to say there's no hope. I think if we just sit down and reason as human beings, the world would be just a better place, quite frankly.
Yeah. Well said, Dani. And it was great to step out of the game for some moments like that in the episodes. And I don't know how much you've had a chance to see KAYSAR, but it's really moving. It's really impactful. And I just want to say thank you for saying what you said and just listening and starting some dialogue. But we do have to talk about the game because people want to know who you think, as you've now left, who's in trouble right now. And ultimately because they didn't want to align with you, with Janelle.
Obviously I was, as much as I was sort of, banging my head against a ton of bricks, trying to get Day and Bay to wise up and say, hey, you know what, you think you have an alliance, but you don't. And I knew they had something. It was obvious. Like that's why it was just because a lot of their movements, their responses were completely irrational. So, I'm not dumb. I know people have something. We can't go into week 5 potentially without you have. I was like the only person that didn't have anything, but it was uncommon. I knew that everyone else had something. So I was just trying to get them. And that's why, you can kind of tell, even when my conversations with Tyler, it's like, hey, if you win, then we can talk. They wanted that to sort of be the catalyst to have a new conversation. So that's where I got the sense that people were trying to they're willing to make moves, but they need something to go to. So I think I was really disappointed with the way that, even though I figured it was going to happen with Day and Bay going out the way they did, it was just.
I mean, and right now
it is hard. It is hard to watch.
It's hard
and you're going to
watch.
see where things are now, because they were part of the group of 10 who kept Christmas in this house. So, it's really frustrating if that's the side of the house that you're rooting for in the game right now, and a whole lot of drama. Dani and I are going to break that down a little bit later when we let you go. But talk a little bit about who's playing a really good game, because there's someone you pretty much didn't even suspect and thought were aligning with there in Memphis.
That was.
I know, man. That is.
that's good.
Wild. That's wild. I mean, I was talking to this man every day, and I typically have a good sense of what's going on, and he had me fooled. A lot of respect for that. From a gameplay perspective, much respect.
That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Okay, so no hard feelings about that.
Oh, of course not.
No.
It was so good. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to answer.
Oh yeah, sorry.
Go ahead,
my representative here, Dani. How do I?
KAYSAR, who would you have liked to have seen in that Big Brother 22 house? I mean, we know Janelle.
Oh yeah.
But when you walked in, were there people you were sad to see not there? You went, oh no, this isn't going to be
a lot of
good.
people. Yeah. A lot of people. I think probably some of this. Same people that Janelle would have loved to see. Dan, Derek. I figured, Dr. Will wouldn't do it again at this stage. But just hypothetically, I would have loved to see Dr. Will again.
Yeah.
We will all love to see Dr. Will again. This fantastic woman, Danielle Reyes. Hi.
Yeah.
That was a little disappointing.
I know you probably
Hopefully
thought I was going to be in
she won't put me up
there.
and send me out this time. But you know what? It's for the love of the game.
It was love of the game. I had to be done, yo.
Yeah. I'm flattered. I'm flattered.
I do have some questions from you from fans, if you have time.
Sure.
You tell us when you've got to go, KAYSAR.
I'm good right now.
Twitter, Violet is Green, say, can you ask him the meaning of the FBI hat?
Oh, so it actually originated from season 6, obviously. And so it's comes from all the way back from 15 years ago. It was Howie's hat. And he brought it into the house because to him, it meant female body inspector. Yes, I know.
That's Howie. Yes.
The fact that those words out of my mouth, I don't even know what to say.
Thanks, Howie.
So, thanks, Howie. So I actually ended up taking it over, and I used to wear it because I didn't think to bring a hat. Then I just found myself wearing it all the time, and he didn't care. So it kind of became sort of part of my persona in the house, and I kind of started maneuvering within the house and taking people out pretty much the way I did with that hat on. And so I was like, hell yes. So I decided, you know what? So what was going to happen was, had I gotten HOH this time around, I was going to burn it all down while I was wearing the hat.
I'm sure you would have.
As a nod to the fans. I was doing it for the fans.
You did your best in that exit speech. That lit some fires. That was
you spilled all kind of tea in that thing. I was like, get it.
Dani,
give it. Oh, it was so good.
When you have one more fan question?
When you ask me who's in trouble, my response is they all are now. Because I think I knew I was like, I set that match and I walked out and I said, you guys better figure this out, because you're all like, hey, I told them, I said, the honeymoon is over.
The meet and greet
I'm
is
out.
over.
It's over. It is. Yeah. The ice has been broken. We broke that ice. Let's go.
Yep. Dani, you got one more question for him, and then we'll let him go.
Who are you picking to win? this season?
Oh man, who I want to win, who I think will win. I mean, look, I think it could be anybody's game because it's just a mess. Right now, it is just an absolute mess.
It's a hot mess, KAYSAR.
I know. It is so bad. And because nobody really, there's no lines that were drawn that like anyone is even gonna uphold. It's sad. And you know what? I was like, is this like, what is happening? Like, how do you, this is so sloppy, really. So I don't know who has what. So I think it's unfortunate, but it's one of those games where it's like the person who just doesn't get hit with a straight bullet.
It'd be David. David will win it all.
I know. It could be. It's just like everybody's like, David doesn't even know what's going on too.
Yep.
But it could be a David. It could be Memphis. It could be, I'm hoping it's Davon, to be honest. I think she's a really, really smart person.
She's so smart.
I told her, I was like, come on. I was like, are you hustling everybody? She's like winning, beating. She's like, how do you play chess? And I was like, she's like beating everybody. I'm like, are you kidding me?
So she may be hustling it in there. All right.
Yeah. She definitely is hustling in there.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
KAYSAR, we're gonna let you get back to your family, your little one.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
KAYSAR,
we appreciate your time.
We appreciate you. I am
Honestly,
so happy to see you again.
Thank you. The feeling is mutual, and I'm so happy to see you two on my screen right now. You have no idea.
We got to hang out.
It's been a pleasure chatting with you. King KAYSAR.
King KAYSAR.
Yeah. So last week, the queen, the king this week. Doesn't get any better, Dani.
Don't get any better than that. Court is in session. All right.
I love you guys. Thank you.
Love you guys.
Bye.
Stay blessed.
Love you, KAYSAR. We got some powers revealed, and we've got 2 BB favorites on the block. It's not a Christmas miracle, I guess, Dani, as some people would say. It seems that Bayleigh and Davon should have listened to KAYSAR this past week and Janelle the week before and aligned with them, because now in this week with Christmas as HOH, Day and Bay are up on the block. You called it last week.
Yep.
I wish you were wrong, though, Dani.
I wish I was wrong too. But she put those ladies on the block, and it's so frustrating because they basically gave her that HOH. Day and Bay kept her in that house, voted to keep her in the house, even though it wouldn't matter. But now she's going to be their executioner. And that is so frustrating. And a lot of things are happening in this house that I don't even know where to begin, Jason. But I'm just so frustrated. I'm just so frustrated.
A lot happened in Sunday night's episode, and it kind of ended up into the drama of, well, I heard that through the grapevine that maybe Dani was interested in seeing Day and Bay go, and then Tyler became the source of some of that information. He got upset. It's really just a mess right now. It's a he said, she said.
He said, she said.
Nobody knows who said what.
And quite honestly, I wish someone would have called a house meeting. Even though I think a house meeting is a kiss of death unless you're Dan Giesling holding a funeral.
It's a wreck, yeah.
It's a wreck. But at this point in time, it was what's comical is how these players get offended when someone calls them out on their game. Like Dani's angry because you got caught. And she tried to come at Bay, and Bay's like, I like the way Bay was calm, cool, and collective. She kept her composure. I wish Bay would have stood up. Just when people are talking to you guys and you're taller than them, you stand up because that gives you the power. But I wish Bay would have stand up because, Bay's tall and Dani's
she's taller than Dani. Yeah.
And I would, when that conversation was happening and Bay was looking up, I was like, no, stand up and talk to her. That's what I wanted her to do because it would exemplify her position. But Dani's upset, but I'm like, Dani, you got caught. Don't be upset because you got caught. And don't be mad. Don't be mad. And Jason, I'm just frustrated. I really was pushing for these ladies and to be, I can't even.
Right. Coming into the 5th eviction of Big Brother 22, Day and Bay being on the block. I can tell it hurts your heart.
It hurts.
If you could have told them something, a week ago, would it have been you should align with KAYSAR and vote out Christmas? Like what?
I don't know.
The woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's a game
what
that we like to play.
Shoulda. I think the narrative of what was presented to them, the false sense of hope to be snatched away, it's just, it's such an ugly mess that it's like I want to be in there just to fix it, and I can't be in there. And it's like I look at those two ladies like they're my daughters, so I want to go in there as mama bear and be like, listen, let's break it down. And it's just so frustrating. I really genuinely care for those two, so I'm really emotionally wrecked by what's happening. So Tyler gave them false sense of hope, and then it was taken away, and the aftermath of how it was dealt with. And these ladies are they feel so alone. And I don't think people understand when you're in that environment and you don't have people that have your back, it's tough. And when you feel like your hope was just snatched away like that, you can't help but be angry, defeated, and dejected, and just revengeful, and you're just being human. Yes. I can't even begin to talk, Jason.
Yeah. So Dani, let's talk about the part of this is that maybe people are not really fully understanding, is that Tyler at some points had said that he felt really bad, that he ended up causing some of this, or felt like he was causing some of this, and talked about self-evicting.
Right.
And so that led to even more drama in the house, where he said, hey, Christmas, use the veto. Let's get the veto. Put me on the block. Save both these ladies.
It was,
and I'm sure fans were freaking out because people love Tyler.
right. And the thing is, I get Tyler fans are like, oh, don't do it. But at that moment, when he came to those two ladies, I believed that he was being sincere, right? And Davon said, what you're doing, no one has ever done for us. Do you understand that? No one's done that for us. And even if he didn't do it for a game's sake, it's the fact how he handled it afterwards, that you gave these ladies this hope because of what's happening in our nation. And you put it on there, and I'm like, okay, let's not dismiss Tyler. Maybe he's doing this. I'm like pro Tyler, and I'm happy for it. But the way he handled it afterwards was just so hurtful, and he snatched those women's hearts, and he snatched the Black community's hearts because the way it was handled afterwards. And people don't understand it, because they can't. But I can understand where they were coming from, when they felt like it was done and I'm over with. And I just, all I can hope is that whoever survives this week, whoever queen stays in there, tilts that crown and just plays the hell of that game. But I am Black girl magic power to the infinity power, whatever. And I just want them to keep their chin up and just handle that game. And that's all I got to say, Jason. I can't say anymore.
Yeah. So Dani, what does the surviving player, and I know we're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves because we haven't even seen all this play out in the episode that will be midweek here, but what does the surviving player need to do to make sure that week 6, she's not moving out of the Big Brother house?
She's going to have to slink back and fade, grin, smile, and just wait. She's going to have to wait for her moment to strike. All she needs to do is survive. And if she can just put the survival mentality in her and just say, hey, if I can just make it week by week, but she needs to get a power, and she needs to win HOH. And once she wins HOH, she needs to wreak havoc in that house. That's it.
Well, I think fans would like a little bit of havoc, because it's definitely going to be exciting for the game, because things have been very predictable up until this point. And even you called what this nomination would look like with a Christmas HOH here. But I don't think we could have ever really predicted some of the things that would have played out here in the last couple of hours. What about, David as an ally? Is he going to be an ally to Day or Bay, whoever ends up staying in the house this week?
Well, I think he can be, and I hope he will be. Right now, he has that amazing power that he should not use. And don't get me wrong.
Really? Okay. Okay. You think he should hold it?
He should hold it because it's a protection for himself.
Yeah.
Right.
So let me just pause you right there. Though the 3 powers that we found in the basement, and they give you each little things. But David won one of those. We'll discuss them in just a moment here.
Okay.
But David has one, and you don't think he should use it to help either Day or Bay?
No, because at the end of the day, it could hurt his game. So that power that David has protects him, right? So he might be ending up on the block, and he may need to use it then. So he needs to just wait. Unfortunately, it's one of those. He can wait, but he can also use it to his advantage as a bargaining tool.
Yeah.
And that's I'm a big Survivor fan, right?
Yeah.
And
oh yeah.
When Yoel, who's from the Bay Area, ding ding, when he won the immunity idol, I remember he went to, I think it was John, I can't remember his name, Jonathan or something, and he goes, "Here's the proof." And he basically used his immunity as a bargaining tool. And right then, David has more power than he thinks. And he can use it as a bargaining tool if he wants to.
He can leverage it.
He can leverage it, and I hate to say this, but even if you say you're going to do something, doesn't mean you have to do it.
Well, we saw that happen this week. Players said they were going to go home, and it doesn't seem like he's going to do it.
Right.
So David's is the disruptor. It allows him to save a person over the next 3 weeks from the nomination ceremony, and he can use it on himself or someone else who's been nominated.
Right. And you know what? He just has to get the timing right for it, right? Because at the end of the day, even if he use it, then her replacement nominee will probably be Kevin, right?
Yeah.
And then what? Then both then the other lady will end up going home. So he has to he has to get his timing. It's the perfect moment, and it's a protection for himself too, because if he's on the block, he can use it on himself. So why would you give that up? So he has to just wait on it.
Yeah, and so he didn't use it obviously in this HOH with Christmas's nomination. So he still has it for 2 more weeks. I mean, that takes you to the what do we say, the 5th, 6th, through the 7th nomination ceremony here. So it's a useful power. Then there was
useful power.
The replay. That's the one Dani won. It allows an HOH to play in back-to-back HOH competitions.
Which is
so
great.
Let's say
once she wins one.
Yeah, if Dani were to win, but she said in the diary room, she was like, "Oh, I'm terrible at competitions. This isn't good."
This is not good.
But if Dani were to win the next HOH, she could use that and then play in the following. So you're not out of the running to become that most powerful player in the game. And then Christmas won the blocker, which allows her to shield herself as a potential block replacement should a veto be used in the next 3 weeks of nomination. So, I mean, she's HOH. She's not going to need it this week, but the next 2 weeks, that's a power that Christmas may be able to use.
Right. Yeah, I mean, David has the best power. I don't care what anyone says.
I agree. Absolutely.
He has the best power.
And it is interesting to hear you say that he should hold on to it and use it for himself. And you're right. This is an immunity idol. This is a safety. This is a save yourself. And he should hold on to it. Yeah.
Hold on to it, David. Hold on to it.
But the fan in me wants me to go, make this move, play a little bit. America is going to love it. Use it, David. Like, I want to put out those vibes into the universe.
Yeah, it would have been great if it was just down to him and 2 alliance people and save himself and the other person. And then she will have to start cannibalizing and going after somebody else. But she's just going to put up Kevin. So it's still
too early in the game.
It's too early in the game.
Okay.
Quite frankly, if I played the game, I like to just cause chaos. And I don't care. I would have just used it. I'm like, who she want? She wants Bayleigh to go home? Well, Bayleigh, you stay. I like causing disruption. So, but it's not, he should just wait.
Now, what we don't know just yet, and I'm going to have little brother weigh in, pop it up in the chat there, is if the power of veto at the time that we're recording this has taken place.
Yes.
Okay, so Dani, the veto has happened. Get us caught up on who won and sort of what the talk is now.
So Christmas came early again this season. Christmas won the power of veto.
It's unbelievable. This is a player.
I can't even get excited.
They are going to regret allowing to keep moving on in this house. And we said it a few weeks ago, Dani, when we looked at players who were really quiet and weren't doing anything and sitting pretty. And we talked 2 or 3 weeks ago about Christmas, not even looking at Christmas being a threat to a Bay and Day right then and there, or, you know, some of the other players that we were saying are kind of fringe right now and don't have a real grasp on a big alliance, or are on the very edge of that. It's unbelievable. I mean, I'm sitting here hearing that, and no, it's shocking. And now all the power this week is in the hands of Christmas. No. I wish I had some jingle bells to ring like they do on the show.
I wish you didn't.
I mean,
I wish you didn't. Nope. Christmas is canceled.
You can't tell that to Hallmark, because they got a lot of movies they're ready to show for Christmas.
Bug.
Yeah. Hey, Scrooge over here. Cancel Christmas. Here. But I mean, we got to give her props. Like, she's playing games. She showed up. She's proving her status in All-Stars.
Okay. She's playing the game. She's playing a game.
Mm-hmm.
She's playing a game.
Yeah. I know.
It's just so frustrating because she didn't win. She didn't win that HOH.
And you're right. You're right. I will tell you, I watched Angela, Tyler's Angela, and her YouTube channel, and she was talking about that, and she was saying, she's like, but Christmas didn't win it, and she's rooting for Christmas because Tyler's kind of aligned with her.
Yeah.
But she did make the argument that you made. Christmas didn't win that. It was just somebody else got the wrong answer.
Jesus.
Yeah.
It's like I said, and then she won POV. So again, I'm just whatever.
Dani, I can feel how bummed you are, but you're not alone. People at home are feeling the same way, and
guys,
that's one of the things that I love is that you're sharing that with us, and you're letting us kind of in where you are right now with just that level of being so bummed out. And it's a game. It's you know, it's a game at the end of the day, but it's something that we've invested ourselves into in our hearts, and it is more than that, though, Dani. It is.
It's human beings in there giving you guys a perspective of human behavior, the nuances. I mean, think about it. You know, we all have personal side conversations with our loved ones, and can you imagine someone can record that 24/7? Oh my God. You know, it'd be so, like, the things that we say privately and stuff like that. It is a game, but it's such a big cause that's happening right now, a movement that I'm just so bummed, Jason. I can't express to you how hurtful I am about what's going on. So,
Dani, I know I'm here in Florida and you're in California. I wish I could give you a big old hug.
I know.
Right now.
It's just,
I will tell you, though, Dani, the way you feel about Bay and Day right now is what I loved in our season. Is that was the way you looked at me and you protected me, and you've done that with those people in All-Star and things where you had players that you were connected with and you loved and you watched and you protected, and I think that's a wonderful, wonderful thing. And it's Dani, I love it about you.
I'm so emotional. I get so emotional.
It's quite all right.
I hate crying, but
well, you know how we've joked before. I don't know if it was in the Big Brother house or after. Is there are some people who are pretty criers, and
I'm such an ugly crier.
No, you're not.
Oh my God, I slingshot. I look like, what's her name? I hate crying. It's just like, don't cry. Keep it together, girl. Because my nose turns red.
Don't.
A slingshot. It's not pretty.
This is you. This is real. This is reality. As good as it gets. And thank you for letting us see
no
your
problem.
Heart,
I'm going to just keep cheering those ladies on. I know whoever leaves, they're going to go home to a family that loves and adore them. Mm-hmm. And they have fans out there that is just rooting for them, that think they're amazing women. Mm-hmm. And I love those ladies. And that's all I have to say about that.
And on that, Dani, I think we should end this. What we are going to see on the episode this week is the drama that played out, because a lot of it was off the feeds. We just saw stars. So the Wednesday night episode, we're going to learn more about the self-evict.
Yes.
I think this is the time that we knock on the door to the diary room and we self-evict, Dani. On that note, we got to get out of here.
Love you guys. Be positive.
I would like to dance it out.
Crying on y'all.
The self-evict dance, please.
Please. Oh God. Jesus,
I love you, Dani. Thank you for sharing your heart.
Bye.
Bye, guys.
Show's over. Go home. I know you want to see that clip one more time. All right, here's that cool Enzo clip CBS brought to us on Big Brother 22. It's all licensed by Endemol Shine
Can't be
North
letting
America.
people outside of the secret alliance know about the secret alliance. It's a secret. Come on, yo.